The message came on a Tuesday. Radio telescopes across Earth picked up the signal simultaneously. It was clear, structured, and definitely not natural. Humanity had been searching the stars for signs of intelligent life for over a century, and now the stars had answered back. John Howard sat in the briefing room at NASA headquarters, his coffee growing cold. The 53-year-old commander had seen many things during his naval career, but nothing had prepared him for this. Around him sat scientists, politicians, and military personnel, all staring at the decoded message projected on the wall. "We are the Galactic Union." The message read in 27 Earth languages. "We have observed your development and wish to establish formal contact. Prepare a diplomatic delegation." That had been 3 months ago. Now, Commander Howard stood on the bridge of the International Spacecraft Horizon *, staring at the massive alien vessel that had entered Earth's orbit. The ship was beautiful, like flowing silver water frozen in place. "Commander, they're hailing us again," said Lisa Martinez, the attorney who had been selected to join the mission. Her legal expertise had made her an obvious choice when they learned of the Galactic Court, an institution mentioned repeatedly in subsequent messages. "Put them through," Howard replied, straightening his uniform. The view screen flickered, and they saw their alien contact again. Ambassador Skatal resembled a tall, slender humanoid with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms. Its large eyes blinked vertically instead of horizontally. "We will dock in 30 Earth minutes," Skatal said. "Prepare for transport to Nexus Station." 6 hours later, Howard and Martinez stepped onto the diplomatic deck of Nexus Station, a massive space structure serving as the regional headquarters for the Galactic Union. Both humans froze in place, overwhelmed by the diversity of life around them. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions moved through the vast hall. Some floated in containment fields, others rolled on multiple legs, a few seemed to be made of living crystal or swirling gas. "Welcome to the Union, humans," said Skatal, gesturing with 2 of its 4 arms. "You are species number 312 to join our confederation." "We're honored," Howard managed to say. "Your psychological profile is unusual," Skatal continued. "Most species we encounter lean toward either extreme caution or aggressive expansion. Humans display both traits simultaneously, which the Council finds intriguing." Martinez raised an eyebrow. "You've been studying us." "For decades," Skatal confirmed. "Standard procedure. Now you wish to learn about the Galactic Court, yes? It is the oldest institution in the Union, predating even our current governmental structure." As they walked, Skatal explained that the Galactic Court settled disputes between worlds and species, established trade regulations, and maintained the complicated web of interstellar relations. "Earth will need to understand our legal framework if you are to successfully integrate," Skatal said. "You will observe proceedings until your probationary period ends." "Probationary period?" Howard asked. "All new species undergo evaluation before full membership is granted. This typically lasts between 5 and 20 of your Earth years." Martinez frowned. "That's a long time to wait for full representation." Skatal's upper arms made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "The Union has existed for 50,000 years. We have learned that patience prevents problems." They stopped before a massive door made of what looked like burnished copper. Strange symbols covered its surface, constantly shifting and realigning. "The central chamber," Skatal announced. "A case is being heard. You may observe, but silence is mandatory." The doors parted, revealing a vast circular room. Tiered seating surrounded the central platform, where a creature resembling a giant jellyfish hovered, its tentacles glowing as it spoke in a musical language. Around the chamber sat hundreds of beings, all watching intently. Howard and Martinez exchanged glances. Earth's future would be determined in rooms like this, by beings they barely understood. "Remember," Skatal whispered, "the court values deliberation above all. Some cases last centuries." Martinez couldn't hide her shock. "Centuries? Justice cannot be rushed, Zcatal replied simply. This particular dispute began before your people invented the steam engine. Howard sighed quietly. This was going to be more complicated than anyone back home had imagined. 6 months passed in the blink of an eye. Earth had established a permanent embassy on Nexus Station, and regular transport ships now traveled between the two worlds. The initial excitement of first contact had given way to the complex reality of interstellar politics. Commander Howard stood at the viewport in the human embassy, watching a Diraxian ship dock at the station. The Diraxians were insectoid beings with chitinous exoskeletons and compound eyes that shifted in rainbow colors. They had been among the first alien species to establish trade with Earth, but relations had recently soured. The mining dispute is getting worse, Lisa Martinez said as she entered the room, carrying a stack of data tablets. The Diraxians have formally filed a complaint with the court. Howard turned from the window with a frown. They knew those asteroids were in neutral space. We had survey teams there first. They claim the territory has been theirs for 3,000 years, Martinez replied. And they have ancient star charts to prove it. Tim Russell, a mining engineer from the Earth expedition that had sparked the controversy, entered the room. He looked tired after weeks of questioning by union officials. They're twisting everything we said, Russell explained. Our team was mapping resources, not claiming territory. The Diraxians showed up and started threatening us. What were we supposed to do? Martinez sighed. In Galactic Court, timing is everything. The Diraxians are arguing that because their ancestors once mined those asteroids millennia ago, they have perpetual rights. That's ridiculous, Howard said. By that logic, they could claim half the galaxy. Welcome to interstellar law, Martinez replied dryly. I've been studying cases like this. Some disputes have been ongoing for centuries. There's one territorial claim between the Voltar Collective and the hegemon of Thal that's been in litigation for over 800 years. Russell collapsed into a chair. We can't wait that long. Earth needs those mineral resources now. Howard paced the room. The union-appointed advocates moved too slowly. They're still preparing preliminary motions after months of work. That's standard procedure, Martinez explained. Most species in the union live for centuries. They don't feel our sense of urgency. Howard stopped pacing suddenly. What if we represented ourselves? The treaties don't forbid it, right? Martinez looked startled. Technically, no, but it's not done. New species typically use union advocates for at least a few decades while they learn the system. We don't have decades, Howard insisted. Earth's resources are strained already. Those asteroids contain elements we need for our new deep space program. Russell nodded eagerly. I could testify about what really happened. The records from our ships show we never violated their space. Martinez looked thoughtful. It's risky. The court is extremely formal. There are rituals and protocols dating back millennia. But not impossible, Howard pressed. Not impossible, Martinez conceded. I'd need to file a petition. The judicial overseers would have to approve it. 3 days later, they stood before the 5-member panel of judicial overseers. These beings were among the oldest in the Union, representing species that had been part of the galactic community since its founding. The chief overseer, a being that resembled a floating mass of purple crystals, spoke in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. This request is highly unusual. New species typically require many years to understand our legal traditions. We understand the concern, Martinez replied carefully. But humans process information differently. We've studied your legal codes extensively. Another overseer, a massive amphibian creature, leaned forward. Your species is known for impulsivity. Our proceedings require patience and restraint. Howard stepped forward. We respect your traditions, but this dispute directly affects Earth's development. Time matters to us in ways that might seem strange to longer-lived species. The overseers conferred among themselves in a series of clicks, whistles, and light patterns. Finally, the chief overseer responded. We will grant this request, conditionally. Attorney Martinez may represent Earth in this matter. But be warned, violations of court protocol have consequences. The Galactic Court has traditions older than your entire civilization. As they left the chamber, Russell whispered, "Is this a good idea?" Martinez looked uncertain. "I guess we're about to find out." Susan Blake had never been so nervous in her life. After 15 years as a top lawyer on Earth, she was about to become the first human to argue a case before the Galactic Court. The mining dispute with the Diraxians had escalated, and now Earth's access to valuable resources hung in the balance. "Remember, formal address to the judges at all times," Lisa Martinez whispered as they walked through the ornate hallway leading to the court chamber. "Speak slowly." Many translation devices struggle with rapid human speech. Blake nodded, clutching her data tablet tightly. She had spent weeks preparing, studying alien legal precedents that stretched back thousands of years. But nothing could fully prepare a human for the grandeur of the central chamber. The room was massive, with a domed ceiling that somehow showed the stars of various home systems, shifting and realigning constantly. Hundreds of representatives from dozens of species sat in tiered seating around a central speaking platform. The 5 primary judges floated on elevated platforms, their various appendages folded in formal postures. Blake took a deep breath and sipped her coffee. The smell of the rich earth beverage helped calm her nerves. She had brought a large thermal cup, knowing the proceedings might last for hours. "Advocate Blake, you may approach," announced the Chief Justice, a being made of what appeared to be living crystal. Blake walked confidently to the central platform. She was halfway through her opening statement when she noticed several beings in the audience beginning to act strangely. A group of small furry creatures were covering what she assumed were their noses. A tall, tentacled being swayed unsteadily. The Chief Justice interrupted her. "Advocate Blake, what substance have you brought into this chamber?" Blake looked down at her coffee cup, confused. It's just coffee, Your Honor. A beverage from Earth." A ripple of translated whispers spread through the chamber. The Diraxian representative stood, its compound eyes flashing with color. "This human has introduced a psychoactive substance into the sacred court." The Diraxian chittered loudly. "Many species here have enhanced olfactory senses. This is a deliberate attempt to disrupt proceedings." Blake was horrified. "No, I had no idea." Silence. The Chief Justice's crystalline form pulsed with light. "Advocate Blake, court protocols expressly forbid the introduction of any foreign biological substances. The chemical compounds in your beverage are causing distress to several delegations." Commander Howard rushed forward from the observation area. "Your Honor, this was an innocent mistake. Earth was not informed of this regulation. Ignorance of protocol is not an acceptable defense." The Justice replied coldly. "This session is adjourned until tomorrow. The human delegation will receive a formal warning." As security drones removed the coffee and began purifying the air, Blake stood frozen in embarrassment. Her first appearance before the court had ended in disaster. Back in the Earth Embassy, Howard paced angrily. "No one told us about the stimulant ban. This feels deliberate." Martinez frowned as she reviewed union documents on her tablet. "I've been looking into the Diraxians. They specifically requested that humans represent themselves in this case. They refused 3 union advocates. They wanted us to fail," Blake realized. "They've been in the union for over 2,000 years. They know all the rules and protocols we might break." Howard stopped pacing. "So this whole mining dispute might be a setup. To what end?" "To test us," Martinez said. "I've had several private conversations with other species. They find humans unsettling. We make decisions too quickly. We speak too directly. We don't follow the normal patterns of diplomacy they're used to." Blake sighed. "Great. My coffee just confirmed their worst fears about us." "There's something else," Martinez added. "A senior judge from the Voltar Collective approached me after the session. He said that several judges are disturbed by how quickly humans process information and reach conclusions. He said we think too fast for their comfort. Howard laughed without humor. So our biggest crime is efficiency. That's a new one. We need to be more careful, Blake said. Next time, I'll follow every rule perfectly. No coffee, no quick movements, no direct questions. Martinez looked thoughtful. Maybe being underestimated isn't entirely bad. The Direxians don't realize that humans work best under pressure. Tomorrow, Blake promised, I'll show them what a human advocate can really do. Earth's diplomatic team grew quiet as Alan Garcia entered the meeting room. The short, thin man with thick glasses didn't look impressive, but his reputation preceded him. Back on Earth, Garcia had never lost a case, specializing in finding overlooked legal details that changed everything. "Thank you for coming," Commander Howard said, shaking Garcia's hand. "We're in a difficult position." Garcia nodded and sat down. "I've reviewed everything. The mining dispute, the coffee incident, all of it. I see why you called me." Susan Blake looked embarrassed. "My mistake set us back significantly. The court now views humans with even more suspicion." "Perhaps," Garcia said, "but I also see an opportunity. Has anyone here actually read all of the Galactic legal code? The complete version?" Martinez shook her head. "That's impossible. It's millions of pages, with sections and languages that don't even exist anymore." Garcia smiled slightly. "I did. Well, the translated portions. I haven't slept much this week." Howard looked impressed. "And there's a loophole," Garcia said simply. "Section 42,897, subsection J12, regarding territorial claims based on historical precedent." He pulled up a document on the room's display screen. The text was dense and written in formal, archaic language. The Direxians claimed the asteroids based on historical mining rights from 3,000 years ago, Garcia explained. But this section clearly states that any claim based on historical usage must show continuous occupation or development at intervals no greater than 1/8 of the claiming species' average lifespan. Blake leaned forward. "What does that mean exactly?" "Direxians live approximately 400 Earth years," Garcia said. "So to maintain a valid historical claim, they would need to show they visited or used those asteroids at least once every 50 years. Their own evidence shows a gap of over 500 years when they abandoned that sector entirely." Martinez looked stunned. How did their advocates miss this? "Because no one reads the entire code," Garcia said. "Most cases are decided based on recent precedent, but the actual founding laws supersede all precedent. This clause has apparently never been successfully invoked." Howard grinned. "So their claim is invalid." "According to the oldest and most fundamental laws of the court, yes," Garcia confirmed. "We just need to present this properly." The next day, the court session began with tense formality. The Direxian delegation sat confidently, their advocate prepared for a lengthy presentation about their ancient rights. Garcia, following proper protocol to the letter, requested permission to speak first. "The court recognizes Earth's advocate Garcia," the Chief Justice announced. Garcia approached slowly, respectfully. His voice was measured and calm. "Honored Justices, I wish to invoke Section 42,897, subsection J12 of the original compact of the Galactic Court." A murmur ran through the chamber. Many species began consulting their own legal databases. The Chief Justice's crystalline form pulsed with light. "This section has not been cited in active court proceedings for over 7,000 cycles," the Justice said. "Explain your reasoning, advocate." For the next 8 hours, Garcia methodically laid out his case. He showed the gaps in Direxian presence in the disputed asteroid field. He presented Earth's claims with precise reference to the ancient law. He never rushed, never showed emotion, but the logic of his argument was undeniable. When he finished, the court fell silent. The 5 justices conferred among themselves for what seemed like an eternity. Finally, the Chief Justice spoke. "This court finds the reasoning of Earth's advocate to be correct according to the original compact. The Diraxian claim is invalid. Mining rights are granted to Earth with standard territorial limitations. The Diraxian delegation erupted in angry chittering. Other species began urgent discussions. Garcia simply bowed respectfully and returned to the Earth delegation. "What just happened?" Blake whispered. "We won," Martine said, looking shocked. "In one session. Cases like this usually take years." Howard smiled. Garcia here just rewrote the rules. As they left the chamber, they noticed many alien representatives watching them with new expressions. Some seemed afraid. Others looked calculating. A few seemed almost impressed. "I don't think we made friends today," Martine said quietly. Garcia nodded. "No, but we did make history. The court will never see humans the same way again." In a private chamber, the Judicial Council was already gathering for an emergency meeting. The Chief Justice's voice echoed in the secure room. "The human problem requires immediate attention. Contact all senior members." This development was unexpected. 1 year passed since Garcia's stunning victory. Earth had established mining operations in the asteroid field, and humanity's position in the Galactic Union had strengthened. But not everyone was happy with human involvement in galactic affairs. Nancy Wright stood at the window of the Earth Embassy, watching ships come and go from Nexus Station. The veteran diplomat had been sent to handle a complex negotiation involving a disputed neutral zone between 5 different species. Each claimed parts of the resource-rich region based on different historical, cultural, and practical reasons. "The preliminary session starts in 1 hour, Martine said, entering the room. "Are you ready?" Wright nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be. This dispute has been ongoing for 300 years. No one expects a quick resolution. After Garcia's success, they're watching us very closely," Martins warned. "The Judicial Council has added 14 new procedural rules specifically aimed at limiting human advocacy tactics." Wright smiled. "I've memorized every one of them. I won't make any mistakes." The neutral zone case was different from the mining dispute. 5 species, the Voltar, the Hegemony of Thal, the Mrit Collective, the Fallon, and the Joxan Federation, all had reasonable claims to the region. Any solution would require compromise. When Wright entered the court chamber, she could feel hundreds of alien eyes tracking her movements. The massive room seemed even more imposing than before. "The court recognizes Advocate Wright of Earth," announced the Chief Justice. Wright approached with careful, measured steps. She began her presentation by acknowledging the valid concerns of all 5 parties. She never rushed. She never raised her voice. She followed every protocol perfectly. Then she proposed something new. "Honored Justices, after studying the claims of all 5 species, I propose a solution based on temporal division rather than spatial division." A murmur ran through the chamber. The concept was unfamiliar. "Instead of dividing the neutral zone into 5 territories, we could implement a rotating schedule. Each species would have exclusive access to the entire zone for a period proportional to their historical claim strength." Wright displayed a detailed chart showing how the rotation would work. The Voltar, with the strongest claim, would have access for 40% of a standard galactic year. The Hegemony of Thal would have 25%. The other 3 would share the remaining time based on their claim strength. Additionally, Wright continued, certain regions of particular cultural significance would be permanently assigned to the relevant species, with guaranteed access rights regardless of whose time period is active. As she explained the details, Wright noticed several judges shifting uncomfortably. One elderly Mrit judge seemed particularly disturbed. "Advocate Wright," the Mrit judge interrupted, "are you suggesting we resolve a 300-year dispute with a time-sharing arrangement?" Wright smiled pleasantly. "Exactly. Think of it as a vacation property. Everyone gets to use all of it, just at different times." She chuckled at her own comparison. The chamber fell completely silent. The 5 judges stared at her, with expressions ranging from shock to what appeared to be horror. "Did you just make a joke?" the Chief Justice asked, crystalline form flickering rapidly. Wright realized her mistake immediately. "My apologies, Honored Justice. An inappropriate human communication habit." But the damage was done. Several elder judges were already being attended to by medical drones. The MRIT judge had entered some kind of trance state, its breathing apparatus working overtime. "This session is adjourned," announced the Chief Justice. "The court will consider Advocate Wright's unusual proposal." Back at the embassy, Wright paced nervously. "I didn't mean to upset them. The time-sharing idea is perfectly logical." Howard sighed. "It's not the idea itself. It's how quickly you presented it. And then the joke. Some of these beings spend decades contemplating decisions. You gave them a complete solution to a 3-century problem in 2 hours, then laughed about it." 3 days later, the court reconvened. To everyone's surprise, a version of Wright's proposal was adopted, with extensive modifications and ceremonial language. The official ruling made no mention of Earth or Wright's contribution. "They're using your idea but refusing to give you credit," Howard said afterward. "I don't care about credit," Wright replied. "The solution works. That's what matters." What they didn't know was that behind closed doors, the Judicial Council had begun drafting new rules specifically designed to control human behavior in court, rules that would change everything. Bill Dawson was used to difficult cases. As a criminal defense attorney on Earth, he had defended clients when all evidence seemed stacked against them. But nothing had prepared him for representing Earth in a piracy case before the Galactic Court. "The charges are ridiculous," Commander Howard explained as they walked through the embassy. "Earth ships did not attack Kelveri supply vessels. We don't even have military presence in that sector." Dawson nodded, reviewing the evidence on his tablet. "The Kelveri claim human pirates raided 3 of their ships, stealing valuable medical supplies. Pirates might be using stolen human ships or pretending to be from Earth," Martinez suggested. "Several species are unhappy with our recent successes." "The evidence is weak," Dawson noted. "Just some grainy visual records and testimony from one witness who claims to have seen humans aboard the pirate vessel." Howard looked grim. "The Kelveri are an ancient, highly respected species. Their word carries enormous weight in the court." "The truth matters more than reputation," Dawson said firmly. "At least, it should." 2 days later, Dawson stood before the court. The case was expected to take months, possibly years, to resolve. In the meantime, Earth ships faced increased scrutiny and trade restrictions. "The court recognizes the Kelveri witness, High Navigator Vextil," announced the Chief Justice. A tall, willowy being floated to the central platform. The Kelveri were one of the oldest species in the Union, with lifespans measuring in centuries. Their semi-transparent bodies glowed with internal light, and they were revered for their wisdom and honesty. "I witnessed the attack," Vextil stated, voice melodic and sure. "I saw humans aboard the vessel that fired upon our ships. Their appearance is unmistakable." Dawson listened carefully, noting inconsistencies in the Kelveri story. When it was his turn to question the witness, he approached slowly, showing proper respect. "Honored Navigator," Dawson began, "could you describe exactly what you saw?" Vextil repeated the account, adding details about the human pirate's appearance and actions. Dawson noticed something odd. The description included features that weren't typical of Earth's spacesuits. "You mentioned the humans wore breathing apparatus with blue lights," Dawson said. "Earth spacesuits use green indicator lights exclusively. All of them." A murmur ran through the chamber. Vextil's inner light flickered briefly. "Perhaps I was mistaken about the color," the Kelveri said. Dawson nodded respectfully, then changed tactics. "Navigator, your ship's logs show you were 3 light minutes away from the attack. How could you see the attackers clearly enough to identify their species?" "Kelveri vision is superior to most species," Vextil replied, inner light pulsing faster. Even Kelvary vision cannot see through solid metal hulls, Dawson countered. According to your own testimony, you never boarded the pirate vessel or communicated visually with them. The Kelvary's glow intensified. I have served the Union for 7 centuries. My word has never been questioned. Dawson remained calm. I mean no disrespect, but facts must be verified, especially when they contradict physical evidence. He turned to the court and revealed his key evidence. Analysis showing the weapon signatures from the attack matched Phalan technology, not human. I suggest, Dawson said carefully, that Navigator Vextil was instructed to blame humans to hide the true perpetrators. The chamber erupted. Several judges began speaking at once. The Kelvary representative demanded Dawson be removed for insulting a sacred elder. The Chief Justice called for order, but the damage was done. Accusing a revered elder of lying was unthinkable in Union culture. Yet Dawson had presented evidence that could not be ignored. After 3 hours of chaos, the court reluctantly dismissed the charges against Earth. The piracy case collapsed. Dawson had won. But as he left the chamber, Martinez grabbed his arm, her face pale. You don't understand what you've done, she whispered. Questioning the honesty of a Kelvary elder is taboo. You've broken the oldest social rule in the Union. We proved our innocence, Dawson replied. At what cost? Martinez pointed to where the Judicial Council was gathering, their expressions grim. Look at them. This isn't just about one case anymore. Howard joined them, his face serious. The council has called for an emergency vote, something about human participation in legal proceedings. I just did my job, Dawson said, watching as species from across the galaxy cast troubled glances in their direction. You did, Howard agreed. And that's exactly what worries them. Olivia Franklin stood before the massive windows of the Earth Embassy, watching the lights of countless ships moving through the darkness of space. As Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Union, she had been summoned to receive the verdict that everyone had been dreading for weeks. They're ready for us, Martinez said quietly from the doorway. The full council is assembled. Franklin nodded. At 48, she had spent her career in diplomacy, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. The series of incidents involving human advocates had culminated in a crisis that threatened Earth's standing in the Union. Let's not keep them waiting, Franklin replied, straightening her formal diplomatic uniform. The council chamber was different from the court. Smaller, more intimate, but no less intimidating. Representatives from the 12 oldest species in the Union sat in a semicircle, their diverse forms illuminated by soft light from above. The Grand Counselor, a being composed of what appeared to be flowing liquid metal, spoke first. Its voice seemed to ripple through the air. Ambassador Franklin, the Council has completed its deliberations regarding human participation in the Galactic Court. Our decision was unanimous. Franklin felt a chill, but kept her face neutral. The people of Earth await your wisdom, Grand Counselor. In the brief time since humans joined our union, your advocates have disrupted centuries of legal tradition. You have questioned revered elders, reinterpreted ancient laws, compressed timeframes, and introduced methods that disturb the harmony of our proceedings. Franklin remained silent, knowing better than to interrupt. Therefore, the Grand Counselor continued, the Council has enacted the Human Containment Protocol. Effective immediately, humans are no longer permitted to represent themselves or their interests directly in any galactic court proceeding. A murmur ran through the chamber. Several species seemed relieved, while others appeared uncomfortable with the unprecedented restriction. Earth must use union-appointed advocates, or AI interfaces designed to moderate human legal arguments, the Grand Counselor explained. This is not a punishment, but a necessary adaptation for the continued functioning of our legal system. Franklin took a deep breath before responding. Grand Counselor, with respect, this places Earth at a severe disadvantage. Our ability to defend our interests will be compromised. Your concerns are noted, the Counselor replied. However, the decision is final. As the meeting ended, an elderly judge from the Voltar Collective approached Franklin privately. The being's 8 eyes blinked in a pattern that indicated respect. "Ambassador, I wish to explain something that may not be obvious to humans," the judge said softly. "You see our decision as restriction, but many see it as acknowledgement." "Acknowledgement of what?" Franklin asked. "Of your unique abilities. Your species processes information like quantum computers, while most of us still use the equivalent of abacuses. You short-circuit our deliberative processes. Your minds work too quickly for our comfort." Franklin considered this. "So we're being restricted because we're too efficient." "Precisely," the judge confirmed. "In our long history, no species has ever been barred from self-representation due to excessive competence rather than incompetence. It is unprecedented." Back at the embassy, Franklin met with the human diplomatic team. The mood was somber. "So that's it?" Howard asked. "We just accept this restriction?" "For now," Franklin replied. "But I'm already seeing potential paths forward. We'll establish a training program for alien advocates who specialize in human cases. We'll develop those AI interfaces to our advantage." Martinez nodded. "Several younger species have quietly approached me. They're interested in learning human legal techniques. They find our methods refreshing." "And there's something else," Franklin added, pulling up the text of the new protocol on her tablet. "I've already found a loophole in the restriction itself. The wording of subsection 17 is ambiguous regarding representation in newly established legal venues." Howard smiled for the first time in days. "So we're already working on ways around it?" "Of course," Franklin replied. "They've just told us we think too quickly and solve problems too effectively." "That's not an insult. It's a challenge." She looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth, and all the humans waiting to hear how they would move forward in this complex galaxy. "They've restricted us because they fear our abilities," Franklin said. "But in doing so, they've also acknowledged our strengths. In time, they'll learn that containing humanity only makes us more creative." Martinez smiled. "So this isn't the end of human involvement in galactic law?"